Last week in Los Angeles, I realized my bird bath in my garden is by Raphael. I have passed it 1,000 times, so had many producers, actors, executives, and occasional tag-along screenwriter. No one had ever mentioned the attribution Raphael. In fact, none of my guests had bothered to attribute it at all, which surprised me since they spent so much time discussing it. When I try to steer the conversation around to my films, my television appearances, and my early work, all I hear back is, "What a charming bird bath." To me, this is further evidence that the bird bath is a Raphael. One just can't look away. Much has been made of the fact that Raphael never sculpted. That may be true, but what is less known about is that he designed many avian objects that we today take for granted, including the clothesline and the beak polisher. The bird bath is completely within the oeuvre of the master. Mine is stylistically characteristic of his work, including triangulation, inverted, psychologically loaded with negative space, and a carved Madonna holding an infant who looks 50. Identical bird baths appear in 13 of his paintings. There is a Vasari portrait of Raphael painting the bird bath. And there is a scribble in his last diary, which in translation reads, "Send my bird bath to Glendale," which is where I bought it at a swap meet. In every person there's an art expert, and I'm sure the one in you wants some proof of authenticity in his age, where everyday Rembrandts Van Riegens are demoted to Rembrandt, yeah, sure's. There are two ways of confirming a work of art: scholarship and intuition. As far as scholarship goes, you can imagine that my copy of Raphael for Dummies is now well thumbed in my quest for authentication. But I needed to find a latter-day Berenson to put the final nail in the coffin of confirmation. The Los Angeles phone book lists 2 Raphael scholars, although one has a Maui area code. Both have been called in, and they're unanimous in their conclusion, one for and one against. This kind of scholarship proves something, but it can never take you the last mile. It is an intuition that confirms attribution every time. How many times have I sat in my garden with my cordless, sipping on a cocktail ice of Prozac and Halcyon, ignoring the masterpiece that stood before me? However, everyone else has experienced that moment when the inner sensor slips away and the volume of our head noise is turned down low, and we realize we are sitting in front of Raphael's bird bath. It is a swooping cloak of sureness, which falls from heaven and settles over you. At that moment, I decided there was only one way to finally confirm my intuition to the rest of the world. I would visit the tomb of Raphael, who was buried in the Pantheon in Rome, and commute with the great master himself. I emphasize the Pantheon italically because in my dyslexia I read it as Parthenon and wasted money on a trip to Athens. I suggested a name for one of them to avoid confusion. After all, it's not like there's one river and one is an airport. They're both buildings. Entering the Pantheon, one cannot help but experience a feeling of awe. Looking to the left, one sees the hallowed name Pesto. To the right, a series of popes and pope wannabes. Unfortunately, they are not buried in alphabetical order, so finding Raphael was not easy. I skipped over him a couple times, but because evidently he had a last name that threw me off. Forgive me, but I'm looking for the grave of Liberace. I wanted it filed under Liberace, not Willadzu, Valentino, etc. Madonna, take note. I stood before the vault where Raphael has lain for the last 450 years. Before I relate to you the next part, I have to tell you a little bit about the Pantheon. It has the world's largest dome ceiling. A dome ceiling might be a big deal in the world of architecture, but in the world of whispering, it is definitely lousy. Everything comes back to you 3 times as loud, and even your diction is cleaned up. So when I whispered, Did you make my bird bath? Everybody in the place heard me except Raphael, who was dead. I whispered again louder. Did you make my bird bath? A few minutes later, a man in a trench coat came up to me and said, yes, but the white man wants a green lawn. He then handed me an envelope containing 500 million wire and slithered away. The voice of Raphael did not come to me with his answer until several hours later, when I sat in a cafe within sight of the Pantheon, sipping a synthetic low-fat coffee mixed with a legal, in Italy, derivative of Xanax and Quaalude. The voice emanated directly from the Pantheon, and I headed across the square to where I was sitting. Raphael, who must now be in heaven and hence has access to practically everything, used Italian but subtitled it with a dialect only my sister and I spoke when we were 5. It confirmed that the bird bath was his, and he wanted everyone to know he was not gay. The Martin bird bath, as some scholars are now calling it, I objected at first. It's still in the garden, although attended by a 24-hour armed guard named Charlie. He's off on the weekends, whom I have grown to like. I'm not quite sure what he's guarding, but with the parade of academicians trooping through, he's got to figure that it ain't cheese. His job, in addition to keep the bird bath from being stolen, is to keep birds away. This is hard because to a bird bath is a bird bath, be it a Raphael or a Sears garden department. Even though several offers have emerged, I'm not going to sell the Raphael. I'm not even going to mention it to my guests unless I feel it is going to get me somewhere. I suppose that if I see someone staring at it as though a boom has just been lowered on them, I'll take them aside and fill them in. I'll tell them they are standing in the presence of a master, that they are in touch with the power of the ages, and that they deserve the overused, but still meaningful hyphenation, sensitive type. Then I will direct him to sit back in my Gauguin design lawn chair and enjoy the view. How do I know it's Gauguin? It is. I just know it is.